Hi, welcome to Gruber Power Hour. I'm Janie.
I'm Pete Gruber.
And today I decided to go a different route than what we've been traditionally doing. And one of the things that I enjoy about the Gruber companies is that we're not like your standard company where we look for candidates that are already worked in our industry, that are already doing what we do. So we go out and we've done this since the beginning of launching careers for individuals coming new into the industry and learning about what we do and how we do what we do. And it's through shared knowledge that we help bring people up to speed in understanding different elements about how we take care of our customers. And what I've done differently today is gone to the different departments and different groups of people and asking them questions about if they have any questions about what we do and how we do it. And so we're bringing some of those questions online today and discussing the feedback that we've gotten from the groups. And I figure it's good to have an idea coming from somebody else on the outside. You know, Pete, you and I could sit here and come up with what we think people would want to know, but it's better to go out and ask them to see what questions they would have. And so that's what we're going to be going through today.
And they came up with a great batch of questions, too. I was impressed.
Right, exactly, about different things that they want to know more about and understand better. So let's go right into it. The first question that we received was, who are the major competitors in our industry? You want to?
Yeah, so we're talking about service delivery, of course, and our ability to go out and repair critical power equipment. The primary competition that we see that we bid against would be the original equipment manufacturers, OEMs as they're called. And those are the people that made the UPS in the first place. And, for years they were pretty arrogant, thinking, well, we're the only ones that can service our equipment. And companies like us came along and said, no, that's not really true.
Right.
It's not high tech, it's low tech in many cases, it's power related, that type of thing. And so it would be OEMs. And then we have a handful of companies like us that are called independent maintenance. And you had an interesting take on those.
Yes, indeed. In fact, one of the things that I highlight is that we don't look at competitors as competitors. Yeah. We see our competitors as potential companies to build relationships with, to partner with, and to successfully work with them, whether we be helping each other out because we have resources or we have equipment here on site that can help them out when they're in a jam and they need a part or something to get their customers up and running, or in service-related needs. Maybe they have a technician located near where our customer is at, and we can help utilize them to help get our customer up and running. Vice versa, they may have somebody in our area. So we build alliances with companies that would be otherwise considered competitors,
Sure. One of the things, the main things in the book that I'm going to one day write, How to Be Successful in Business, is a concept that's that we have lived by. It's part of our culture. And it is fundamentally this: no competitive overlap is ever 100%.
Right.
And the gift and skill of any successful business is to capitalize on the synergies available. You can turn a competitor into a customer. You can turn a competitor into a vendor.
Absolutely.
And a partner, in this case, in service delivery. Right. So that's our basic philosophy is there's no such thing as an antagonistic competitor. You find ways to partner and work together.
You have those alliances. Absolutely. It just makes you stronger in the end and takes care of the customer well.
Right.
Okay, so the next question, we'll move on to the next one. Are we keeping current with the changes in the battery industry?
We are, but the critical power industry is not.
You go.
We don't manufacture critical power equipment. We service it, we repair it, we re-engineer at times, we refurbish it, we buy used equipment and turn it back into usable equipment. It surprises me that in the critical power world, they're so far behind not using lithium ion, lithium iron, or some of these newer chemistries that are far more efficient than lead acid, 12-volt batteries. And, I mean, this is technology that goes back almost 200 years. We've had a number of classes about this.
Right.
Far more efficient. Granted, it costs more going in, but if you run the numbers, you'll see that it lasts so much longer that you have cost savings.
You recoup it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, there's also, just from my conversations I've had with customers in the field, and there is still the fear of the unknown working with the technology, working with lithium ion, and not understanding, that you can work with it in a safe space, in a safe manner, that kind of thing.
There are the stigmas, of course, the fire risk, for example, which is extraordinarily low, but it is nonetheless, it's what makes the news.
That's what I was going to touch on.
Yeah.
Exactly. They see what's highlighted on the news, and then they ingrain that one episode, even though you have all these other cases that are successful. Yeah.
But I predict that once critical power picks up on the fact that this type of DC storage is far more efficient and cost effective, it'll be a snowball effect.
And continue. Sure, of course. All right, we'll go to our next one. The website says that we have a service network that spans worldwide. Is that true?
Absolutely. The reason is the way that an independent service organization like ours grows and expands is we initially start a sales effort in a geography, whether that's a large metropolitan area on the East Coast, let's say Atlanta, Georgia, pick one, all right?
Okay.
We have no service delivery there. So if you partner with your competitors,
those alliances,
yes, you turn them into subcontractors and you build up the business. It allows you to do service delivery in a geography. And at some point in time, that Excel spreadsheet is going to tell you whether it now makes more sense to put a body in that geography. And that's how we've grown. We then add staff and we begin to develop our own employees in that territory.
And build up that market. That makes perfect sense. Then let's go to the next one. Thank you for that. What size of UPS unit would it take to back up a 3-bedroom, 1,800 square foot house?
Okay, and we're talking about a normal household, maybe, parents, a couple of kids, that type of thing, and, air conditioning, hot water heater, kitchen, probably
Stove,
electric.
refrigerator, the typical, right?
The easiest way to predict that is to take a look at the kW consumption, kilowatt consumption of those devices.
Right.
Your kitchen range, for example, could be as high as 2,000 watts or 2 kW.
Okay.
And then you've got an oven, then you've got a hot water heater, then you've got your lights, and you've got your flat screens and your climate control, air conditioning systems.
Right.
A safe bet for an 1,800 square foot house is around 7 to 10 kW, which is about 9 to 12 kVA UPS. So with a 15 kVA UPS, you'll take care of all the needs in your home.
Now, running a UPS unit with that type of equipment, wouldn't there be some elements of some issues running both of them together?
Well, you're going to, the UPS is going to be feeding all of those devices.
Okay.
And we're talking about a power outage at this point.
Okay, so just a short duration.
Right.
Exactly.
The utility goes away. Just happened to us a couple days ago.
Right.
We were in a podcast just like this, and suddenly everything went dark and silent. I thought I was having a stroke. And somebody said, oh, God forbid.
Right.
Well, it turns out our studio doesn't have a UPS. Out there they did.
Right.
But so the point being is when the power drops out, the UPS is going to continue to supply your house.
Right, for a period of time, right.
Right. In a solar situation, you're going to be sharing. The utility is going to be doing some feeding. The solar is going to be doing some feeding. And if you're off the grid, then you're actually going to be providing your own power all the time.
Through those,
Yeah.
right.
And the time that the batteries are working is at night when the sun is gone and you're no longer charging from solar and charging those batteries. And hopefully you have enough there's enough capacity that you can ride through the night and then charge again during the day.
Makes sense. Has Gruber ever considered selling, installing car charging stations?
We consider all markets, and we
Absolutely.
keep
We're
it.
not limited.
No, we're in the high tech business, and we
Right.
love this sort of technology. But everything indicates that it is not yet profitable. The time is not right yet. The companies that are
Mhm.
making even chargers, are hurting. Nobody is profitable yet.
Uh, it's just because of the unknown yet. It's not mainstream buying
Well,
them.
yeah, it's the evolution of technology. There's always something newer and better. It's the
Right.
it's the infrastructure development. You have to go out and you have to do
Oh,
underground and
sure, to get set
install.
up for it.
Yeah, get leases going for the property.
That
Uh, you
makes
know,
sense.
when you look at Tesla and you take a look at their development of their supercharger network,
Right.
that was a money loser all along, and we were
Oh, yeah.
all anticipating at some point in time they'll turn the corner. And once the NACS adoption occurred, where the whole world now has used that standard,
Right.
now we have some hope that this is going to be profitable.
That makes sense. But they had to have the foresight to see that and
It
sustain
was
themselves.
it was an investment up front.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so how is the runtime on a UPS determined?
Runtime. Okay.
Mhm.
You take a look at your load, and in a
Yeah.
computer room, it's fairly simple. You take a look at all your devices, you pull the data. On the
Mhm.
back of the devices, UL and CSA requires them to put their load on those tags.
Right.
And then you simply tally that up. That's going to give you a KW number, which you can
Right.
then translate to KVA, and that then tells you how big your UPS needs to be. Now, the ride through time is
Right.
going to be determined by the number of batteries that you have on it, how many strings you have. One battery cabinet may get you, let's say, 7 minutes,
Right.
which is typical. But you can put additional battery cabinets now and extend your runtime.
Right. That's something that comes up quite frequently through our conversations, either amongst ourselves or even with the customers, talking about, how much runtime that they'd like to have. And a lot of people come in with the expectation that they think the UPS unit is going to take them through this enormous amount of time, whether it be, 8 hours or the day or something like that, and not realizing that the batteries that they're going to need to have to sustain that kind of time.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
the fundamental purpose of an uninterruptible power system is to give
Mm-hmm.
you a short amount of runtime,
Right.
usually 7 to 15 minutes. If
Mm-hmm.
you extend that, or if you want more time, you can do that with batteries, but the cost benefit begins to evaporate because it
Yes.
costs so much to go to 2 hours runtime. It's
Right.
cheaper to put an automatic transfer switch in place
Mm-hmm.
with a diesel generator outside, some sort of a genset, which now is long-term ride through because it's based on your fuel. If you have a large enough diesel tank, you can run for weeks, you know.
Right. Right.
So the ideal continuous uptime program is to have a UPS that has 7 to maybe 12 minutes of runtime, one battery cabinet, let's say.
Right.
And then with that automatic transfer switch, there's a timer in there. It says, okay, the power outage has been 5 minutes now. It looks like it's going to be extended. So we're going to prep the generator. It fires it up, it gets it ready, and then there's
Right.
a switch over with the automatic transfer switch. And now your building is running off of the generator set instead of the UPS.
That makes sense. And then that also saves the batteries as well along the way too, right?
Yeah, because the batteries were in play, for 7 to 10 minutes, and then they get recharged by the generator.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. The next question: how long do we store our batteries?
All
Good
right.
question.
We are in the battery business as well, and we did that a couple decades ago or so. We have batteries made for us by a variety of vendors, usually overseas. How long do we store them? The trick in the battery business, just like your grocer, they don't put a ton of nectarines in stock and then dole them out over the next month or two because it spoils.
Right.
The same is true with batteries. So a just-in-time philosophy is absolutely essential, because what you want to do is keep enough equipment or enough product on the ocean coming to your warehouse so that
Right.
you're continuously having fresh
We
inventory.
have a stream of them coming in.
All the
Yes.
time.
Oh, yeah. Weekly, we have trucks coming in and unloading at our dock and loading back up to go back out. And yes, absolutely.
So it's the skill of our supply management people adhering to the just-in-time principle.
Yep. Ensuring that we've got plenty of them to go back out. And then let's see. Okay, so this is a fun question. I like this next one that we're going to go to. Who is our longest established customer? So I went back to our CFO, Mark, to get some information on this to see, do we have that data? And he came back with some interesting information for us. First, I want to highlight that we have 166 customers that have consistently been buying from us year in and year out since 2008, which is a good number. I like that. We're going to make it 166,000 soon, but we'll continue to grow on that. But also interesting enough is we have Maricopa County, who has been our customer since 1990, at least 1990, consistently, and purchasing from all of our different divisions, which is a neat.
I find that humorous because in 1990, it was the dark ages. There was no internet.
Oh, yeah.
And the
right.
the way we would have communicated with this customer would have been through fax machine.
And Rolodex cards.
Yeah. But yeah, the county. And, my answer to this question would have been any local customers, because we started here, locally, and then branched nationwide, and then we went globally at some point. But yeah, I think the oldest customers we would have would be here local.
That's awesome. Well, that's a neat accomplishment to continue that. And Maricopa County is one of the largest counties in the nation, so that's quite the feat,
Right.
Next question. What is a PDU?
All right. PDU stands for Power Distribution Unit.
Right.
And that picture behind us here probably encapsulates best what a PDU can do for you in a data center, in a computer room. If you picture all of this equipment on both sides of the aisle there, well, that sounds political, doesn't it?
Don't go down that road today.
There is access floor here. And the way you can tell that is, you notice the vent tiles that are running throughout the room there?
Yes.
So that means there's an access floor. And a raised floor typically is 6 inches to 18 inches or so. Okay. And its purpose is to create a plenum or a channel for plumbing, cabling, for the electrical equipment, or not the equipment, the wiring. Yeah. And to basically hide it all. So what a power distribution unit does is, it will be a box in this room somewhere, and it will feed blue flex cables, which is an electrical cable, not rigid conduit, that can twist and turn, through that access floor to the piece of equipment that is being fed with power. The PDU is being fed by the UPS or by a direct utility power off a circuit breaker panel if you don't have power conditioning or you don't have uninterruptible power. So the PDU function basically is to distribute power to the various pieces of equipment and have a flexibility. This is the advantage now. When they move a tape cabinet out of that line up there and they put in some other device that needs power, you just simply go under the access floor, you pull a tile, and you rearrange your power cables underneath the access floor, not having to call in an electrician, install rigid conduit, go through walls, and all of that.
All that extra. You know what I found rather humorous, actually, is that, going into the industry 10 plus years ago, I was thinking of things as being very complex in my head and overthinking things, when in actuality, the names describe what they do.
Yeah, pretty much.
PDU, power distribution unit, ATS, automatic transfer switch.
Right.
It is what it's saying it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
At one point, when UPSs were still very expensive, they actually put power conditioning in the PDUs. So now you
Okay.
had some level of clean power being
That
distributed
makes sense.
to the
Right.
equipment. They were typically large 7-foot cabinets. They might have transformers inside them. Now you could
Okay.
also drop voltage. So you have 480 coming in the building, but your devices are 208, 120. So the
Right.
transformer in the PDU served as both a voltage drop
Okay.
and as a clean power source, because you could put isolation in a transformer, or if they
Right.
got fancy, even tap switching, so you could regulate the power.
Okay, and that protects the equipment that you're going to be backing up. Okay. We have some questions on the board. Let's see here. Highlander. Well, hello, Highlander. I want to buy that business book. Oh, the book that you're referring to that you're going to write.
Thank you, Hollander, for joining us.
And then also the Highlander, I didn't think they still made lead acid batteries.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely. Let's see now, where are we at in our questions here? Now, what is a good strategy to get in contact with a point of contact at one of the businesses that we work with when it seems like we're not, or when we've hit a dead end? Well, one of the things that we like to do is ensure the equipment is taking care of the customers that we know of the equipment that they have out there. So what we do is we will reach out to the contacts that we know of that are overseeing the equipment that we know that are out in the different facilities. And through reaching out to them, what we've learned over the years is, here we have long tenureships. We have people that have worked here for 10, 15, 20, even 30 years at times. But there are a lot of facilities out there where we have customers or contacts that no longer are there. So we need to find out who the new points of contacts are that are in charge of overseeing the equipment. And so we reach out to these various contacts. And the first thing that we need to do is determine what department is overseeing the equipment. Now, this is an interesting point that I actually went over with several of our employees recently, is that sometimes it's the IT department that's overseeing the equipment, and sometimes it's the facilities department that's overseeing the equipment. And it will go back and forth sometimes internally to who's overseeing the equipment. And it's all based on the perspective of, is it a computer component or is it something power related that the facilities department would oversee? And so isolating it and determining which department is the first part of navigating to find out who is the decision maker to decide, or understand where we're at with the services and the equipment. So internally, first we go through and we talk to the IT managers, we talk to the facilities managers to see who oversees the equipment. And from there, then we find out, what is the latest dates they have for servicing the equipment. Are they up to date with getting those preventive maintenance done as recommended by the OEM? Do they have a maintenance agreement on the equipment would be the first thing to determine. And when was the last time they changed their batteries out? We certainly don't want a customer to run into an instance where they have a failure with their power and they don't have the batteries to back it up. So
Sure. One other layer that I just thought about is contract administrators, which are typically part of procurement.
yes. Yeah, the purchasing department, that would also be somebody that we would reach out to as well. Yeah, finding out when they're going to be going out to bid next time on that.
Right.
Absolutely, that would be part of it. Let's see here. We'll go to the next one. Hopefully we answered that question for you. How many different UPS units does Gruber carry?
Well,
That's a good question.
yeah, the best answer there is we are agnostic. We have all brands available, and I'll tell you the distinct advantage that a company like us has with that approach. The original method of offering critical power was you became a manufacturer's rep for a particular brand, whether that was Liebert, Emerson, Exide, Toshiba, and now suddenly one brand fits all.
There, you're restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is simply not true. Liebert,
Right.
for example, made excellent large UPSs, hundreds of kVA, but they had nothing on the small end. That's where the
Okay.
trip lights came in and the APCs, right?
Right.
A company like us that represents a multitude of brands or has them available can get the right equipment, the right solution into your application without any bias, without any prejudice. So you're going to get the
Right.
right product.
So we're seeking the solutions for our customers rather than just pigeonholing them into one type of unit that may not be the best for their needs.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then, how many different size batteries does Gruber have?
Well,
Similar.
the first way to answer that is we are in the high-tech business, and if a customer has a need, we will find that product. But
Right.
what we keep in inventory typically are 12-volt 3 amp hour up to 12-volt 140 amp hour batteries. These are absorbent glass mat batteries that go into data centers, that go into battery cabinets, that go into strings connected in series. On the smaller end, things like alarm systems, small UPSs, they may be single batteries even. We also have different chemistries available. Not all data centers use absorbent glass mat, AGM batteries.
Oh, yeah.
Some are wet cells, those big, gigantic jars that are like 2 volts each but weigh 200 plus pounds that last 18, 20 years. We also have those available. So it depends on the customer's application and need.
There we go. Okay. And again, those are those alliances that we discussed earlier that we build so that way we can make sure to source whatever the customer is needing.
Right.
What makes up a UPS?
Okay, an uninterruptible power system is a combination of some devices. The first one is a rectifier. And a rectifier is like your 12-volt battery charger for your car. When your battery is dead or low, you bring out a 12-volt charger and it converts AC, 120 volt, to 12-volt DC to charge your battery. Well, the same is inside a UPS because you have to maintain the battery system in some fashion, and that again is going to be an AC to DC rectifier. Its function in life is to be a DC power supply or a charger for the batteries. Then you have a battery system, and your battery system could be one battery in a SU-1000 small tabletop UPS,
Right.
or it could be multiple cabinets in a data center full of 12-volt 140 amp hour batteries, large AGM batteries. And the purpose of the DC storage system is you can't store AC. So you have to convert your AC to DC in order to store it, and then that DC is fed into an inverter, which is now the last part of the UPS, and the inverter's function is to convert DC to AC.
Okay, go through there. Okay.
Because none of your devices, well, at least very few devices in your data center are DC, other than maybe circuit boards, inside your PCs. Everything runs off AC power. So you have to reconvert DC back to AC, 3-phase AC.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense. And then how long do the batteries last in an emergency? Well,
it depends on how many. Yeah.
Right.
It depends on how many batteries you bought, first of all. If you have a single cabinet, for example, we talked about that a little earlier, 7 to 12 minutes or so is going to be your run time. If you have additional battery cabinets, it could be more than that, but then it gets expensive.
Right.
And remember, the advantage of doing a smaller battery system, 7 to 12 minutes, and a automatic transfer switch and a generator, you have to change your batteries every 3 to 5 years. Your genset outside is going to last you 20 years plus. So there's a distinct advantage to having a smaller battery system and then an automatic transfer switch. Now, how long does it last? 7 to 15 minutes on your main battery box. And then as long as you continue to supply your genset with fuel, it will run for years if you like.
Indeed. Absolutely. There we go. Well, this is a great group of questions that we received today, and I look forward to getting the feedback from anybody on this topic, if there's any more. Do you have any other comments or anything else to add to this today?
No, I think we've had a very good session.
That's right.
As always, we appreciate you joining us. Yeah, we do these every week, Thursday morning at 10 o'clock.
They're very informative, and as we learn more and explore more into doing what we do and how we do it.
I think Jesse has some input here.
Friday morning at 10 o'clock. You said Thursday.
Friday.
That's right. Thank you, Jesse.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for viewing, and we'll see you next week.